What unfair advantage do you have? This is really good shit. I was watching the Tudors series on Showtime. A 11-year-old kid going to a beheading, everyone dying from their quack doctors cutting them to death, and a king spreading crushed pearls, olive oil, spices and rum ointment on his leg because he believe it's a solid concoction to heal something. Really can kinda put things into perspective and the modern world. Even a king a few hundred years ago couldn't get what your poorest person can acquire now. Word. I remember one time my dad took away a DS game I was playing, so I snuck into his room to search for it and swap it with another cartridge. He had a random crap drawer with a bunch of keepsakes and stuff. I saw the game, but it was on top of a stack of letters. Turns out most of the big fights I could remember them having resulted in them writing these deep letters talking about their relationship, what they were sorry for, that sort of thing. Never told them about it, since I was technically snooping through their stuff, but it put their marriage in a totally different perspective to me. They had a lot more disagreements than I realized, but worked through them together. High school sweethearts and still going strong. I hope one day I have that kind of relationship. My husband is like this. He started his career as a developer and his boss told him that he was too social, so they moved him to consulting and then eventually software sales. He absolutely loves sales now and it suits the extroverted nature, so I am very happy his boss recognized this and moved him around. My parents never saved for my college tuition, but I was lucky to find and be accepted to a tuition-free college. I guess my unfair advantage is that I lived with my mom. Her income was low enough for me to be accepted with Max Pell Grant but got to go on vacations with my dad who made great money. I have the opposite of lucid dreaming. I have night terrors and I will realize, in my dream, that I am dreaming. However, I will be like, oh no, I hope they don't do this, and then that exact fucking thing happens, and some of those moments or scenes from those dreams are now intrusive thoughts. So that's cool, right? I have basically no natural talents. That means I completely and utterly fuck up the first 2-3 times I try anything. I am extremely used to being unskilled and failing at the things I attempt, but I think my familiarity with failure is my unfair advantage. The first benefit of being accustomed to failure is that it doesn't deter me. Messing up is so natural that I'm willing to try tons of new things, and I can stick out almost any learning curve without getting beaten up over it. The second benefit is that all of my accumulated failures have made me really good at learning. I don't care too much about looking dumb anymore because that's just the natural way I look in every new situation. So instead I can focus on exploring mechanisms and finding a holistic understanding, which gives a huge boost to the rate I learn stuff. Basically, my unfair advantage is that I'm so used to failing that I can learn any skill I want, and I thrive very well in iterative environments, for example game design. Mid-40s, and my house is mortgage-free. I have no debt aside from my cars. I have money in the bank, and I'm retired. This, plus my kids get along well with me and seem to like having me around. 21 meters, 18F. 13 meters, I do anything for them. I always find money. When I was a child I was going out with my parents and saw a wallet on the road beside the curb. That wallet was stuffed with bills. We turned it and of course we are Canadian. The owner turned up and was very grateful that he had not lost his mortgage payment. I was rewarded with a $5 bill. I am here to tell you that 55 years ago that reward to child was a fortune. Well, since then I seem to have developed a knack for finding floating money. I have always had this thing where I look down when I walk. Well, not so much today because I am an adult with some self-esteem. But back then ... I just found a lot of spare change. It was not at all strange for me to make $2 or $3 a month in change. It doesn't stop there however, because money can be made of paper too. I am always finding 5s, 10s and 20s. I just found it 22 weeks ago while walking my dog by a tourist attraction. One time I was walking down the street on a windy day. 3 20s came spinning in the wind and virtually threw themselves into my hand. I purchased an armoire off Craigslist that turned out to have $400 hidden under a drawer. I could go on, Sigh. If only I was as lucky in love. My sister and I saw something floating in the ocean when we were in Clearwater, Florida on vacation as kids. Come to find out it's a money clip ... and attached to it is a license, credit card, and a $100 bill. Turns out the license was a person who also lived in Michigan. When we get back home, and this is gonna date me, we looked the person up in the white pages and contact them. Turns out the person was vacationing in Florida a month before and lost the clip. That little clip was floating around in the ocean for a month until it just so happens that two little kids from the same Midwest state happened to have it wash up too. Guy had since gotten a new license and told us to keep the $100. We took it to a bank to get it exchanged because it was kinda fucked up, and we both split $50. I am very lucky. Not billionaire saw me while I was bartending and married me. I never have to work a day. Lucky I guess, but a general luck. Always land on my feet, things just kind of work out for me. Forgot my keys. I'll completely randomly run into my roommate, downturn and 99/100ths people are being fired. I'm the one that isn't. Car swerves onto the sidewalk and hits me, not even a scratch. My abusive-ass father made me borderline psychic to people's moods. I am also psychic about rejection. I know it's coming from a mile away. I can't pinpoint why, but I can feel it, like physically. Sounds bad, but let me tell you, I'm the best salesperson you'll ever meet. I broke sales records at every sales job I ever had, because I can read minds. Thanks, Dad. I was pretty much the loser kid up until college when I broke out of my shell. I spent so much time watching others and not really talking that I learned so much about people from watching their actions and how they interacted. Now I feel the same as you. I'm so good at reading people and knowing if I'm saying the right or wrong thing. I can read facial expressions, body language, etc. like no one's business. I felt like those 17 years of misery really paid off the rest of my life. Lol. Me too. Growing up around my emotionally labile father taught me to take the emotional temperature of the room the second I walk in. I'm nearly psychic to other people's moods. I can feel certain people's, usually strongly negative people's, vibes almost before I see them. But it's very hard for me not to take rejection personally. I'd make a terrible salesperson. Lol. Thanks, Dad. I guess I was born rich enough to enjoy a comfortable life in an extremely expensive city to live in, but I wasn't born rich enough to be born to complete scumbags in a vicious social circle that's goddamn rife with questionable ethics and social climbing. Because most of my friends are in the same situation or better, I have gained some insight on this fucked up social environment. I have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, so to speak, therefore allowing me to both see what goes on inside the circle, but also know that what goes on is fucked up to the highest degree. I personally believe that I was born to good people who taught me that I was probably among the luckiest kids in the world and to be grateful for what I have. Anyways, sorry for the long post. Wow, I'm the exact opposite. I cannot remember a single name, abbreviation or fact whatsoever, but any logical system I would remember in its entirety with a lot of insight to boot. This has caused me to practically become a tutor for the rest of the class in uni while getting the lowest grades. Yay for the education system favoring remembering without understanding. Similar-ish here. Stress or just being really focused on something seems to act as an appetite suppressant. So no freshman 15 inches for me. Have also found if I'm hungry but still don't eat for a while, it mostly goes away. For these reasons, I've never really had to be conscious of my diet, but I'm sure it'll catch up to me one day. Back when I competed in sports in high school, my body developed polycythemia, a blood-thickening disease. Pretty much never got tired. Thicker blood meant more oxygen to my muscles. From what I understand, long-distance runners also develop this, as well as people who live in higher altitudes where oxygen is thinner. I could wrestle pretty much non-stop. It was nice. Don't have it anymore though. Not sure if this is an advantage or some weird curse, but I always forget something wherever I go but always find it. The craziest one was I lost my prescription goggles about 700 yards offshore in the ocean, and an hour later and a mile down the beach I randomly find them washed up. Lost my glasses in a hayfield, dropped my wallet in a train station and went 4 stations past, and lost my backpack with my passport and social security card in an airport. Not even good at finding stuff. Some random stranger always finds it and returns it. I'd prefer being able to remember stuff, but it does feel nice to see the good side of humanity constantly. I'm well-spoken, articulate and have a large vocabulary. I'm often mistaken for posh when I'm actually just poor ghetto street trash. Basically I'm like Lip from Shameless, except way less intelligent, not an alcoholic and not a ladies' man. So, absolutely nothing like Lip. I am a really fast learner and I never need to study. My parents also taught me how to work hard. They both work in retail, so around Christmas they would be at work for 12 hours a day and my mom would come home and do computer work because she's the only one in the company who can. Does it suck that they missed some band concerts? Yeah. But working 8 hours a day is nothing for me. I'm stupidly resistant to pain. I have broken bones, ruptured my eardrums, been stabbed, punched, tased, and all the while I will just walk it off. The reason I know this is a BS advantage is when me, a 5'8" mini-human, and my ripped friend, 213 pounds of rage, both got bullwhipped as a joke. I was just confused on why I was bleeding and he started crying. Weird. I can learn things quickly and can apply what I learn in unorthodox ways. I adapt easily without much strain. Downside to these is I get bored with things rather quickly unless there's some new challenge to tackle. I've also been told I'm very attractive, which would explain why everyone tries to be nice to me. Downside to that is whenever I leave the house someone has to stop me to give me some compliment. It also puts me at odds with other males, since at least where I live, most men are compliment-starved and I've never understood that feeling. Oh, also I can put a mask that appeals to any social setting I find myself in, but I guess that is covered under adaptability. Money. My parents taught me how to invest at a young age and I was able to retire at the age of 39 with a lifetime of dividends coming in, so I'll never have to work again. I don't think any kids I grew up around had any interest in the stock market. I thank my parents every day for showing me how to make my money work for me instead of the other way around where I have to work for money. Oh, way too many. Born white into an upper-middle-class family, attended some of the best public schools, school district in the country, bought a house in 2014 and with a gift from grandparents was able to fully update the house, allowing me to take advantage of the equity and pay off all student loans and setting me up for future financial success. Make 6 figures at 32 with no debt other than a mortgage, allowing my wife to be a stay-at-home mom. No matter what I eat, I don't gain weight. Limited sleep doesn't bother me, I'm good on 4 hours a night. Nice. Be careful with the sleep thing though, just because you feel fine doesn't mean there aren't any negative effects on your body. If I could get away with 4 hours a night I would still be wanting to make it a habit to sleep 6 to 7 hours a night just to be on the safe side. My grandpa left me a large college fund which covered tuition, housing, and food. Since I got a few scholarships I had enough leftover money I could theoretically buy a new car, but I have left it invested to keep growing it and keeping my 12-year-old car until it dies. By then I should have enough savings that I can buy a new car without dipping into that money. Funny story. I was born with an extra toe, which on the surface doesn't seem that useful, but boy did it come in handy later on. Let me explain. Basically I started doing gymnastics in school and was the star pupil. I had told my coach about my situation and he thought the toe gave me extra stability and gave me private lessons after school because he saw the potential. Eventually I got to the regionals and won it by a very lucky amount. After that I got scouted by an Olympic coach called Look at My Username. I suspect I'm not allergic to poison ivy. I go hiking a lot and have brushed against it many times over the years and nothing has happened. Plus when I was a kid there were a few times where I was playing in a certain area with friends and they got a bad rash and I didn't. It's not something I'm willing to test though. I married the no-drama mama who is my soulmate. No head games, no crazy jealous nonsense, no tests etc. Pushing 30 years together now. No matter how rough things got, she's been my rock. She's not a spender, so that is a huge advantage there. When she finds a pair of inexpensive, practical shoes that fit her feet, I practically have to twist her arm to buy an extra pair or two. When things got tight she kept us fed and healthy on next to nothing by knowing how to shop and cook on the cheap. Her idea of a vacation is renting a rustic cabin in the woods for a week. I see what some guys go through with their souls and realize just how lucky I am. I have terrible mental health. My mind is constant running chaos, even while medicated. Unfair advantage to this, when chaos is happening externally, I'm perfectly calm. Had to use a defibrillator on a guy? Fine. Actual lockdown from an angry parent at an elementary school while I was working with kindergartners? We got this. It's such a relief when the outside world finally catches up to the madness that's been happening inside my head. Because I'm Canadian, Portuguese and my girlfriend is Jamaican, Chinese, I have a social and with pretty much every ethnic community. Apparently it's an I'm not racist card which is horribly objectifying our genuine and beautiful love, but in the grand scheme of the awful social norms established throughout society, it's the cold truth. The difference in the way the public treats me alone versus with my girlfriend is night and day, and I cannot make that up if I tried. If you're a black-white biracial couple, you're unstoppable. Go ahead and flame me, but I am living it. I am seeing it. I'm not saying everybody is a certain way, but it's commonalities. I grew up in a middle-class white family, but that's not the part that matters. The part that gives me an unfair advantage was that we were middle class, and for the majority of my life that meant we were the richest people on one side of my family, and the poorest people on the other. One parent came from a poor upbringing, one came from a wealthy one. I've had a foot in both worlds my whole life and can fit in pretty well with WASP culture of any social class because of it. Same. One side rich and one side poor? When I lost my parents I was adopted by a relative on the rich side in a social circle full of wealthy people who helped me get on the ladder for my career and treated me to expensive things, but because I can see what it makes it really easy to bond with people at work as I know both sides, which has always been an advantage. Because of this I've also been really careful with money and living within my means because I know what it's like to not have money. Common sense. I think of myself as a pretty average person, no more intelligent or good-willed than any other human, but time and time again that doesn't seem to be the case. I feel like the protagonist of Idiocracy a lot of the time, just a plain, regular guy surrounded by complete and utter stupidity. I guess it's nice when people notice and say wow, you are really smart, but at the same time it makes me unable to relate with a lot of people. It's a blessing and a curse. I'm very good at recognizing and keeping track of patterns. It makes me an exceptional troubleshoot debugger, which is very important in my field of software. Even when I know a lot less than others in an area, I have the ability to quickly find and fix root cause of the issues. This has resulted in me getting promotions thrown at me due to the perception that I'm some genius you can throw at any problem. Ironically, the promotions have meant even less pressure to know any details and just getting involved every now and then to show off my deduction skills. I'm actually rather scared of being found out as a scam, but so far it's been a big advantage. I had a scholarship for a little over $250,000 to a top-tier college. I had a refund of about $2,000 each semester, so I managed to make about $16,000 while in college by doing nothing. I planned ahead and put all of this into a savings account and didn't touch it. Still haven't. I've had amazing financial mentors in my young adult life who want to help me overcome cyclical poverty like they did. The best advice I got was, I save the money I have and I don't spend the money I don't have.